How much time are you currently spending in your guitar practice routine improving your fretting hand technique, speed and control in the most efficient way possible? If you're like 99% of guitar players, myself included a couple of weeks ago, the shocking answer is definitely not as much as you should. Because sure, you might have some hammer-on and pull-off exercises in your workout routine, some legato licks with a heavy focus on fretting hand technique, but are you ever only practicing guitar with your fretting hand, completely ignoring the picking hand in the process? I actually started doing that a couple of weeks ago, and I want to show you the best exercises I found, because only practicing with my fretting hand like this and completely ignoring my picking hand for at least 15 to 20 minutes each day had some absolutely crazy results when it comes to my playing. And here's the first exercise I want you to work on this week. With this one, you're working on relatively simple shapes with your fretting hand. One of my favorite ones being that power chord with the 9th on top. So a normal power chord with 2 fingers and then basically a power chord on top of a power chord like this. And if this would be a normal picking exercise, it wouldn't be that hard. But when I'm practicing this workout, I'm completely ignoring my picking hand and I'm only making the notes ring out by tapping on the fretboard with my fretting hand. The first challenge with that is I obviously don't want the notes to overlap. So I don't want that kind of sound. So I'm not allowed to anchor with my index finger. As soon as I'm playing the second note, the index finger has to be lifted a little bit from the strings already. And this will really teach you to use your fingers independently and to build some strength with all of your fingers. Because when you're tapping on the fretboard, only with your pinky finger for the first time with no assistance from all the other fingers, you will see that you will probably have a lot of work to do when it comes to building strength with your weaker fingers. So this is much harder than it looks. It requires a lot of concentration and focus. But the rewards for practicing like this are absolutely huge. Obviously you're working on your finger control and independence since you have to use your fingers individually. You're working on your finger strength and dexterity. So just after a couple of days of practicing like this, you will see that there's much less fatigue with your fingers when you're playing very fast or when you're playing with hammer-ons and pull-offs quite a lot. And the amazing side effect that we will get to right now, this will also really clean up your guitar playing. Because a lot of players don't know that most of the unwanted noise that they get, especially when they play with distortion, is coming from specific movements with the fretting hand that you want to avoid. And this next exercise will help you even more with getting rid of them. Check it out. So you might have recognized the arpeggio shapes from this exercise. Those are very frequently used for sweep picking. I started with a shape for A minor and then went to a shape for G major. But this time we are not sweeping. In fact, I want you to completely ignore the picking hand. Once again, the fretting hand is doing all the work right here. And it gets much more tricky right now because you have to work on 5 strings and it's also much harder to do this correctly on the higher strings. Once again, this is so much harder than it might look at first, because when you try this for the first time with your weaker fingers and on the higher strings, you might have some problems with getting the notes to ring out at all. And once you get past that, you will have a lot of string noise, which is definitely what you want to avoid. So this exercise will tell you a lot about where the unwanted noise is coming from when you're sweep picking. So if you can't play clean arpeggios like this with no string noise and no overlapping notes, just using your fretting hand, you will have some problems once you involve the picking hand, because this needs to be clean first. So if you're serious about finally getting rid of all that sloppiness and unwanted noise when it comes to your fretting hand, and you finally want to get your flying pinky finger under control and master an extremely ergonomic, fluid and controlled finger technique that never lets you down, I made a brand new practice package for all my members on Patreon with 3 amazing daily finger workouts workouts. All my awesome members on Patreon have access to this new workout package. You can find the link down below, patreon.com/burn. As always, this package comes with guitar profiles, backing tracks with and without my guitar, play-along videos, and detailed PDF tab sheets. And practicing these 3 super fun and very effective finger technique workouts will get you absolutely amazing results with your finger technique in a short amount of time. I know that because I've been working on these exact workouts now for around 2 weeks, and I've made more progress with my finger technique in those 2 weeks than by doing a lot of the usual hammer-on, pull-off and legato exercises. So if you got a lot of bad habits to fix with your fretting and technique and you want to do that as fast as possible, this is what you've been waiting for. Give it a try today. Download the full package by joining with the link down below, patreon.com/burn. Now let's move on to the next exercise. So this exercise is all about cleaning up your scales, and it might be the hardest one so far. I chose one of my favorite scales ever for this, the A harmonic minor scale. And you might be familiar with the sequential pattern that's behind this exercise. So I'm playing up 4 notes, then I'm going back to the second note that I played and I play up 4 notes again. Then I'm going back to the third note that I originally played and play up 4 notes again. And so on. So usually that's a very common picking exercise. But as with all exercises today, we will just use the fretting hand for this one. And since you're skipping between so many different strings, it will be really hard to minimize the string noise. So getting it to sound this clean when you're just hammering on the neck is extremely difficult. It requires a lot of work and practicing. And I think this is the exercise where you will realize that this is very different from just working with hammer-ons and pull-offs and the usual legato licks like this. Because when you're playing licks like this, you're usually attacking the string once with a picking stroke and then you're hammering on all the other notes. But with this extremely tricky but very powerful exercise, you constantly have to touch the neck with your fretting hand fingers to produce the note. So you're not picking one note and then just hammering on. You have to generate a lot of notes on different strings by just hammering on the neck. And as soon as you get to the higher strings, you will see that this is incredibly hard because you're generating a lot of unwanted noise when you do this for the first time. It will sound something like this, which is perfectly fine. It's really hard. So as frustrating as it might be when you start out with this exercise, it doesn't only serve you with the usual benefits of finger exercises, like what we discussed previously, finger control, finger independence and finger strength. This will also really help with clean up string noise that's coming from your fretting hand while you're playing. So if you feel like you're getting some string noise with your scales, this is the best exercise to go for. The previous one would be the perfect one for sweep picking. But now let's end things with an absolute finger twister and activate all of our fingers with exercise number 4. So this is also quite a classic finger exercise that falls more into the chromatic or semi-chromatic workout. But once again, it's usually a picking exercise, either an alternate picking exercise or an economy sweep picking exercise. But you guessed it, for this week I want you to try it just using your fretting hand, so no picking strokes allowed. And that might not sound as nice as the other exercises that were based on scales, chord shapes and arpeggios. This one's quite a bit dissonant. It's really helpful because you have to use all of your fingers equally in this workout, and you're also moving this shape across all strings. So at the end you're also playing it on the 4 highest strings. Once again, it's super hard to avoid those overlapping notes. You really want to lift your fingers right after you use them. And playing this at faster tempos should also really help you with getting your flying fingers under control, because you can't play it fast and clean when your fingers are moving like this. They have to stay really close to the fretboard to make that happen. So although it's not that pleasing to listen to, it might come with the most benefit, because once again, aside from the obvious ones like finger control, independence and strength, you're working on all fingers equally with this exercise. So if you're really serious about finally getting your fretting hand under control, so reducing the nasty unwanted noise that makes you sound like a beginner, effortlessly blazing through scales and arpeggios, head over to patreon.com/burnt right now and download your brand new practice package that I made especially for you. It comes with 3 amazing daily finger workouts, an easy one, an intermediate one and quite a challenging one. So this is for all skill levels, no matter if you're just a beginner or a very advanced player already. You get guitar profiles of everything, backing tracks with and without my guitar, and of course detailed PDF tab sheets that tell you exactly what to do. So start with this brand new workout package right now by clicking the link down below, patreon.com/burned. Sign up today. I'm waiting for you over there. Can't wait to meet you. Have an awesome day. Greetings from Vienna and bye bye.